Welcome to ThinqTanq, where our diverse leaders tackle your diverse challenges. Today, we're looking at what to do when another person of color might be your professional rival. I'm your host, Ray P. Ferrer, CEO of Ray Coach. Won't you join me in welcoming today's ThinqTanqers? Let's hear from each of our ThinqTanqers. Who are you and where are you calling in from?
I'm Kelly Macias. I am an independent equity and inclusion consultant, and I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Hey, hi, my name is Miguel Yanez. I'm a transformational coach, and I'm calling from Winchester, California.
Hello, I'm Robin Ingram. I'm an assistant vice president at the Fund for Johns Hopkins Medicine, and I'm calling in from Baltimore, Maryland.
Glad to have you all aboard. Now, this time we've got a tough one. Here's our challenge. Dear ThinqTanq, I've got it written down because I'm, a printer. Dear ThinqTanq, I am a black man working on a small team of a large national organization. I've been working with this organization for over 10 years. A few years ago, I brought a colleague of mine, another black man, into the organization. We have always been friendly, and in the past, I have seen him as an ally, but over time, our relationship has changed. After he came to work with me, I had the sense that we were no longer friends, but competitors, particularly for attention and accolades as the only two black men on the team. He has recently become the head of our department, and now we barely speak. I've been reluctant to say something, in part because I want to support his leadership as another black man, but also because he is gay. I am straight. And I've been wondering if some of this is related to my own internalized homophobia. I would really like to see us both thrive at work. Signed, am I tripping or what? So ThinqTanqers, let's hear from you. What do we have to say to am I tripping?
My first reaction was, there aren't many of us. The two of you have to get along. We don't want that friction to be there because it's just the two of you.
I would have the same advice. I believe he needs to talk it out. Just talk to him, and just remember, you're both trying to achieve the same goal. Come from a place of service, and remember, keep in mind that you were friends, and that is the most important thing. So talk it out, talk to each other, and make sure that when you're talking to him, be in a good place, be in a place of service, and everything will work out.
I feel like, have you all ever been in a situation where you felt friction with someone, and then when you go and talk to them, they kind of felt some friction as well, or they were perceiving some things wrong, and so talking really opens the door, and you find out that maybe they felt uncomfortable or they felt insecure, and so it was just a great conversation, even having to make that step to have it.
Yeah, I've been there. And my first thought upon hearing that is really just how painful it is when it's just two of you, and how inadvertently you can get caught up in this dynamic of competition rather than collaboration. So I agree around the talking with each other to see what's really up.
Yeah.
It's funny, I'm listening to each of you and I'm thinking as a coach how I will respond sometimes when there's somebody like me who I perceive to be an ally and a competitor, right? So it can be really challenging to move from this wonderful coachy, like there's room for all of us, there's space for each of our professional development, we can all move forward, to get out of my lane, it's hard when I make that switch to scarcity model, there's not enough for all of us and there's so few of us, and please don't get in the way of my few opportunities.
And something
Has that
else
ever
that might
happened
help,
to you all?
I'm sorry, something else that might help, and I did this in the past, talk to the person not at the place of work, take him out of the place of work. Like
and why?
During lunch, like a walk on the park or lunch, just because you are out of that environment that makes you feel that way, that friction between you two, and walking around or going for a walk might help a lot because the environment changes and you're more calm.
I'm thinking as I was reading the email the first time when I first read this story, I'm wondering about the environment, and what is this environment like, and what is it like to be in this organization or on this team that would make you interpret this as a potential competition, or what's happening in that organization that makes this a likely feeling. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about the environment that this person is working in?
I don't know, but it does make you pause and ponder. Do people maybe walk on eggshells because they are trying to say certain things, or they do or don't want them to feel a certain way? I also, Ray, can you clarify, did you say that the colleague is now the director of the department too?
The head of the department. He has recently become the head of our department.
Yeah, so I look to him as a leader as having some responsibility as well, to be talking to his colleague and forming a relationship with his colleague. So I can understand how the writer is uncomfortable from that perspective of feeling like they're not talking to someone that's in a leadership position, but also, another Black person as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say I'm really glad also to hear that this person is also wondering about their own internalized homophobia, right? Because oftentimes that stuff is sneaky, and we have been socialized to believe certain things. And, even if we've done a lot of work, it still comes up. So I was really glad to hear that this person is actually thinking about, well, wait a minute, is some of this related to my own experiences and thoughts and feelings of maybe superiority? Is there something deeper there that I really need to think about? And I think all of that could be really powerful conversation to be had with this director.
And maybe a conversation with someone that's not in the situation as well, right? Like, when I'm interested in that feeling of that should have been me, right? Because that's where superiority, subtle implicit bias, or some isms that are sitting in the back of your head that you think aren't there anymore, that's where that could start kicking in. Exactly. I should have had that. How come he got it, or she got it, or they got it, right?
Yeah, and especially this idea of I brought you in, right? So there's probably some of that too. And we may be in an environment, I have certainly been in environments where there's only a handful of us, and it's really easy to fall into the competition because we've been raised with this idea that there can't be multiple exceptional Black and brown people, right? It's got to be just one. And so, all of that comes up in these really sneaky ways that we're not even aware of.
So when somebody starts thinking this might be, I may be reacting to the situation because of bias, right? Because of internalized homophobia, whatever it might be. Where do you go with that? And I'm going to ask you as individuals now, when you have noticed that you are potentially behaving from bias, what is it that you do to handle that or deal with it?
I keep a close circle or a small Rolodex of people that I can call on depending on, what the topic or the issue is.
She said Rolodex. I'm just saying.
Do you want to see it? I just told someone earlier today to seek wise counsel. And I think that's what it is, having your individuals or people that you consider wise counsel, who will tell you not only when you're right or when you have a great idea, but will also tell you when you're dead wrong or when you need to do something better. And so I think it's really important to have those individuals that you can talk to and can give you some unbiased feedback and thoughts.
In my case, I completely agree with Robin. It works to have someone there to talk to, because first you're going to let it out, because it's very important. You have that feeling, you have that friction, you have that feeling in the back of your mind and your heart. So you talk to someone, you let it out, which is important, and then that person can advise you on what to do next. But when you go and talk to your boss, who is now your boss, you will feel a lot more calm and a lot more open to change and open to a dialogue. So I completely agree with Robin. I think having that ally, having somebody to talk to, it's very, very, very crucial.
Yeah, for me, some of it is actually just the awareness building. So an unpopular thing I think to say for an equity consultant is that I actually don't believe that unconscious bias ever goes away, right? People like to think if I train myself, it will go away. I don't think it ever does. I just think we can become aware of it, right? And that's the best we can do. So for me, some of it is when that thought comes up, I just stop and say, okay, why did I have that thought? What's behind that thought? Is there something else I need to be thinking about? Is there something else I need to dig into a little more? Maybe I need to ask a friend. Maybe I need to journal about it. Maybe I need to meditate. But it's really for me about identifying the thought and sort of sitting with it and asking myself, is this really how I feel, or is there something deeper behind it?
So powerful. And, I want to move us to closure here. And ask you for final thoughts, but it's so interesting to think, what's the relationship you really want with this other Black person on the team, right? So like if you are the only two Black men on the team, what I hear implicit in this request, like that you want something different, and it sounds like it's going to have to be part of your job to figure out how to make that happen, so yeah.
Definitely.
Any final thoughts, folks?
I would just add that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, not everybody has to be your friend. And I think that's an important lesson to learn. So if you have a desire to be friends with this person, then it makes sense to really work it out. But maybe this is also just a lesson for you in terms of how you carry yourself, how you think about things, how you problem solve. And so I would just offer, not everybody's got to be your friend.
Thanks, Kelly. Miguel, you were bubbling up also.
I totally agree, and also I'm going back to the feeling that he has that internal homophobia. I had that problem before. To find out that people really on this, during these days, they really don't see that as a disadvantage or any type of problem. So I find out myself that my friends or the person that I was having the problem with had no problems with me being gay. As a matter of fact, really, really liked it and really, really enjoyed it. So take that out of your head and proceed as you. Just be yourself.
It's interesting. While I appreciate that you had that situation, I also know, both from my own professional experiences and also my coaching practice, that homophobia in the workplace is real. It does happen. And like when your gut tells you maybe this is that, there's an element of that in place. Just like with racism, with sexism, like homophobia is not, we don't make it up, so there might be this little sprinkle of it on something, even if it's not the main ingredient, it might be mixed in somewhere. I agree. So just paying attention to that, right? Thank you all a lot. We heard a lot today. We heard from somebody who, feels like a Black man who feels like another Black man in his team is a potential rival. So some of the advice we heard was check in on where bias is playing into that. If you're worried about it, go into that and think about it, journal, meditate, turn to wise counsel, eventually maybe have a conversation with the person themselves. Think hard about what you want and what kind of workplace you're creating, because you're one of the players in the mix. And walk away knowing that you don't have to be everybody's friend. So, all right, thank you all a lot. That's it. If you have an issue that you'd like the ThinqTanqers to have at, you can feel free to email thinktank@raycoach.com. That's ThinqTanq with the Q. And so we'll see you soon. Cuídense, take care, and go with love. Take care.